Yeah. Bible underneath my right hand. I made it out of tight jams. Guns all on my nightstand. My life should be on Vice land. My fingertips to hold the marijuana aroma. High school, I went to school high, still got my diploma. He got riddled and left alone for some Skittles in Arizona. The same time a man dies by his own for a pair of Jordan. It's crazy how we living. We all misguided children. Niggas out here getting got, trying to figure out how to get it. We the ones that's not afraid to let the hammers off. The same ones that feed the homeless with the cameras off. The life I'm living kinda hard to get a handle on, but I'm blessed and God knows I can't be mad at all.
Leslie is a really talented model, actress, spokeswoman, you name it. She's amazing in front of the camera. But personally, she has an incredible story that we just had to share. Uncreative Radio, I'm so excited to have Leslie with me. We've been shooting for a really long time. I'm actually trying to remember the first time.
Years.
Do you remember? What was the first one?
Had to be 2016 for, I don't know if I could say the brand, but
It was, yeah, go ahead.
I think it was TheraFit.
Okay,
Shoes.
TheraFit shoes.
Yeah,
yes,
I think, but there may have been one or two before then. I don't know.
Okay.
It's been a long time.
And you have been, what would you even call yourself? Actress, model? What do you even, spokeswoman? What's the deal?
It's evolved more into spokesperson, host, but it started, on camera talent. If my agents call me up and they're like, hey, can you model a shoe? I'm like, yeah, I'll be there to model a shoe. So it's a cumulative kind of career. So,
and this is what your whole family does.
We do.
Yeah,
yes.
like you and your husband and your kids sometimes.
Yes, when the kids are needed, I drag them right out of school and I put them right next to us, but not as often.
Not as often.
Yeah.
Do you and your husband even work together a lot, or you guys are mostly separate?
We do, but it's funny. They pair him a lot with a blonde. For some reason, commercial life doesn't see us together.
You got to dye your hair.
I'm like, I can grab a wig, but you know what? Let him work with somebody else for a little while. He and I work together.
It'll be good for the home.
Exactly.
How is that like? Do you like working with? Because most people are like, you don't want to work with your spouse. Do you like that? Is that too much?
We work together our whole entire careers.
Yeah.
We've only for the first 12 years of our careers we were together.
Hold on. How old are you?
I am in my 40s.
You're lying.
I am not lying.
You're
very
lying.
Sweet. I would never lie to you.
You're lying.
Early 40s.
Do you really think she looks? Do you really think?
I would have never guessed that. No, not
anybody.
Thank
nope.
you, but
Sorry.
Anybody?
You guys better not raise your hand.
That's true. Rock, you think she looks 40? Seriously? Yeah, you're lying. You're lying.
It's been a long road. I'm blessed with good
So
genes.
when before you were, I know, go call your parents after this. When were you, when did you start doing this? What were you doing before, and when were you like, yo, I want to get into modeling?
That's a great question because
I cannot believe you're 40.
Yeah.
Does anyone believe that you're 40?
I get that reaction a lot, and I'm thanking the Lord above or whoever's responsible for that that's a good thing. But yeah, I'm in my 40s.
That's a lie.
Yeah, I'd like to say that I never eat sugar and I work out every day, but those things wouldn't be true.
Are you a vegan?
I'm a vegetarian.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're still with us a little bit. You haven't gone off to the path.
I can't say I don't feel bad about eating dairy, but I do feel bad.
Do you feel bad really about?
I do.
Really for the animal?
Yes.
I love eating animals.
You do?
Yeah, they're awesome. They taste so good. I love cows.
You know what?
Did you have pets growing up?
Yes.
Where are you from?
New Jersey.
Oh,
yeah.
We were just there.
Really?
Yeah, it was not good.
Uh-oh. Were you there for work?
Yeah, we were there for work. We were shooting commercials. I don't even know where we were. Where were we, Rocco? Where were we? What's the name of the city? Lindell.
Oh.
Linden? Where? Was it? Yeah, we're at Hazlet.
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 Oh, well then, of course. This
is a little rough.
Sorry, Hazlet.
You're like, oh, of course.
I grew up on the Jersey Shore.
Oh.
Yeah, so Jersey is a really beautiful state, but you don't always get that from it when you go there.
The show isn't a really good representation.
No. No. We always like, the Jersey Shore. I'm from the Jersey Shore, but not that Jersey Shore. But I really did grow up in when they would go do their gym, tan, and laundry. Yeah. That's the town I grew up in.
Okay,
so they would party off on the beach, and then they come into town and do their
And that's where you were.
That's where I grew up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So what were you doing before you went into the modeling thing?
Chad and I owned a surf shop for 12 years.
Get out of here.
Yes.
In Jersey?
In New Jersey.
What?
Yeah. So
is he from New Jersey?
we grew up in the same town.
Wow.
Yeah. We met each other in 4th grade.
Good grief. You're one of those. Right on.
Yeah. So we started dating senior year of high school and, and so we decided to open up a business. We didn't even go on a honeymoon, actually. We were like, let's put our money into a business because we're responsible adults.
Yeah. I get that.
So we opened the surf shop. We ran that for about 12 years. And like halfway through doing that, we moved to North Carolina and we opened a coffee shop there. So we were running these two businesses simultaneously.
Super weird.
Yeah, random.
Did you go on a honeymoon?
No.
Eventually?
No, in fact, we just booked, I have some work in Toronto, so we're going to go to Niagara Falls. Very
So you've
cliche.
never been, how long you guys been married?
16 years.
You've never been on a honeymoon?
We didn't go, no. Mean, we've done family travel, but never
I feel like it's a little lame. I feel like it sounds boring.
What?
Yeah, it sounds boring to me.
A honeymoon?
Yeah, doesn't it sound boring? What are you doing what are you doing like on the third day? Really?
Well, I mean, for us, we have very limited time. So I think, and I think we'll just ride bikes.
But you're also like you're making a work trip into an extended thing.
Yeah.
See, you're doing it the smart way.
Yeah. And you know what? We had been together for so long that honestly.
Senior year.
Yeah.
Good grief.
Like getting married wasn't like
a
huge thing for me. I was like, let's just.
It's
do
Chad.
it.
Let's just do it.
I don't need a whole thing.
Okay. And then so you guys are running those businesses and then.
Yes. And then I was in North Carolina where we were, there was a big, very cool art scene, a dance community. So I started getting back into dance. I'm a dancer.
Right.
And I was like, well, maybe I should get some headshots. Maybe I should, so I started to do that. I got an agent in North Carolina.
Okay.
And
what part of North Carolina?
I lived on the coast in Wilmington.
Okay.
In Wrightsville Beach. And then
I think they filmed Iron Man there.
Yes, exactly.
Yes,
so there was a lot of that stuff. There's the Screen Gems there.
Yeah.
So it's like, why not, if I could pick up extra work or whatever. So I got into, I got an agent. Like all of this shocked me. I was like, I'll get the headshots, but nothing's going to happen. Then I got an agent. And I was like, oh, okay.
That's cool.
Yeah. And so I started to work.
Yeah, no one would represent you if they were like, oh yeah, you got nothing here. You got no shot.
Right. If you're there like, sorry.
Like, you look 40.
Yeah, you might as well hang it up now. So long story, not as short as I probably would like it, but when we were running that coffee shop, we were only running it for about 5 or 6 months.
Yeah.
And we started to have major problems with the landlord. And this was supposed to be our second business for the next 15 years. We signed a 5-year lease with 2-year options. Grief. And he started, your customers can't park there. You have too many people in the store.
Too many people. Like that's the whole goal. The whole goal is as many people as possible.
I'm paying you my rent. We had already been retail tenants in the surf shop for 8 years by this. We knew how to do it.
Right.
We know how to run a business. Just leave us alone, and you'll get your check every month.
And here we go. Right.
So he wound up sending us a very scary, financial bullying, basically. I'm suing you for the entire amount of your lease.
Get out of here.
And Chad and I looked at each other and we're like, well, dang, what are we going to do?
Isn't that crazy the first time someone tries to sue you? Isn't that feeling you're just like, you feel like you're going to lose everything?
You're helpless. You feel helpless.
You feel really helpless.
Here we are with 2 young children, 2 businesses, nobody to answer to, nobody to help but each other. We're like, and so we really got into this line of work, the on-camera line of work, out of necessity.
Out of just get rid of the stress. So we're going to go do this.
Yeah. I mean, we had to leave. We actually left the coffee shop.
Why did you come here? Because you guys are in Boynton now, right?
We're in Jupiter.
Oh God, I don't even know. Okay, you're in Jupiter. Is that far? That's farther, right?
It's north of Boynton.
So you guys are in Tallahassee. Got it. Okay.
Yes.
So how did you guys get down here?
We're basically in Georgia.
Yeah.
My father-in-law has a condo in Boca,
Yeah.
naturally. And so we would go to that condo in the winter times, when our surf shop was slow, and spend time. And so we learned that area. But when we wanted to live full time here, our friends were like, you should check out Jupiter. And we did. And Chad and I make decisions like that. We're like, oh, Jupiter's nice. Okay, let's go there.
Got it. Do you guys you guys still have the surf shop now?
No. At the same time that the coffee shop, all that was happening, the surf shop was wrapping up.
Wow.
The lease was over. We didn't renew because we were kind of just so heartbroken over what happened with the coffee shop. We're like, we don't even want to renew. We want to take that risk away.
So you're probably a badass surfer.
Oh God. I know about surfing. I know about boards. Chad's a surfer.
Okay, got it.
And I write about that too. a surf shop, where did that come from? Like, how much of me was in that decision? And I kind of questioned that. I don't regret owning a surf shop, but if I had to choose, 5 different industries to get into, surfing wouldn't be one of them. But
that's wild.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a very young, fun store.
In the modeling and casting world, is it like what everyone says it's like people that are just like, you're going to these casting calls and they're just judging you and they're saying all this stuff about your body, like right to your face and blah, blah, blah. Like, do you feel that way?
I have to say that in South Florida, all I know is really Florida. I did some work in North Carolina, but in Florida, it's such an inclusive community, like the acting and modeling community, even the casting directors. I don't get that feeling, but again, I'm not starting out as like an 18-year-old supermodel wannabe. Like I didn't.
You know what this is.
Exactly.
You know what this is.
Exactly. Can it mess with your self-esteem? Yeah, but I mean, I started in my late 30s. I'm realistic.
I know who I am.
Exactly.
Right.
Had I done it when I was 18,
it
oh my God.
Critical, man.
Yeah. I would be under a rock. You'd have to pull me out for this interview.
What? Okay, so like you're sitting, we're actually driving to go do a shoot. I don't even know when it was. It was a little bit ago. And you're like, yo, you're asking me about Uncreative Radio. I didn't even put it together. But you told me you're writing this book. So tell me about this book and how did this thing come to life? Like, who writes books?
I know.
Are you running for office? Sorry.
No,
that's what people do. Like, people write books if they're like, I don't know, running for office, or you used to work with Trump and now you quit and you write your book.
Right. You have a tell-all. Right. Now, I'm not that interesting. You know what? It came from, first of all, writing a book, for me, it was really a cathartic thing. And I think that's what a book is supposed to be. I have a book coach, so these are his words too.
Yeah.
He's like, you know what? It should be transformative for you. And so I really wrote it to open up a conversation about experiencing trauma and learning to love yourself after that, because there's no handbook when you something major happens in your life and everybody has it. There's nobody hands you a book that says, here's how you should deal with it and here's what your life is going to look like. So
do you think most people have something traumatic that happens to them in their lives?
I do, and I can even, everybody's version or
traumatic,
definition
right.
Could be different, but it's even as normal as having a child, becoming a parent. I think that can be,
it's a big deal.
It's a big deal. It's a big major life change.
Right.
And I think, as I did have postpartum depression, like I was anxiety and depression prone and I didn't even realize it.
Right.
So now with the traumatic event that I write about in my book, it's been 12 years. So now I'm able to like look back and reframe it.
Cut to the chase. Give us the details. Yeah, give us the details. Do we have to wait for the book?
No, it's funny because I'm like writing all this stuff and I'm writing the details about what happened. And I'm like, is this glorifying something like awful that happened to me? And then I was like, you know what?
This is
This happened to me. This is my story.
It's a fact.
Right.
It's not like this is actually truth.
Yeah, absolutely. And so so it was like so that surf shop I was telling you about.
Yeah.
I was there one day. This had to be maybe,
what year is it?
2007. We opened in 2004. So this is 3 years in. We're on the Jersey Shore and it's an October day.
Right.
Very rainy. And so there's not a lot of people around. There was nobody around in October anyway.
What time is it? It's like
daytime.
Okay, so it's like 2 o'clock.
Probably earlier than that. It had to be like around noon, I would say. A morning like any other, and in the off season for seasonal business like that on the Jersey Shore, you always just have one person working, and I was the owner. I'm going in to write my orders. I'm not doing anything. If I had saw 3 people, I would be surprised.
It'd be amazed, right? And you're there to get other work done.
Exactly.
Right. Okay.
So, I flip on the lights, put the music on, and I'm like standing here by myself, and then some people came in. So this guy comes in, this older guy, and he asked me about some sweatshirts on the wall. And so I come around, of course. I'm like, if I can make one sale today, then hallelujah.
Right.
And he, before I know it, I'm like grabbing the sweatshirt. He lifts up this huge rock that he brought in from outside and he bashes me over the head with it.
What the
fuck? That's exactly what I thought. I'm like, what the?
Hit you on the head with a rock?
Out. Yeah. And
You're out.
I didn't lose consciousness, thank God, because I think that probably would have been the end of it. So now he's boom, he's on top of me and we're fighting. Now I'm like fighting my way, and I'm looking out of the corner of my eye, and all these like little details I remember. I'm like, I'm closer to the back door than the front door. If I can get to the back door,
you can get out.
I can get out. Yeah, and there's a parking garage back there, and there are other.
And you were just bleeding.
I'm bleeding. We go through. We wound up fighting through. We had like glass display cases with skateboard, surf stuff, skate stuff, and we're just. And I'm like moving myself back toward the back door while I'm fighting this guy. So this is
how are you fighting him? Just with whatever you got.
With
your hands,
no
your
technique.
Feet,
yeah, just like punching. He was an older guy. He was.
What?
He had gray hair.
What?
Yeah, right. Totally random. And wound up as soon as I was putting my hand, there were two back doors. So there was a door to the back storage room.
Yeah.
We fought through that. He started grabbing things that were in the storage room and hitting me with them.
Get out of here.
Crazy. So I reach my hand up. I get to the back door to get out. And at precisely that moment, another guy comes running in the front door, and it was like, "Hey, get out of here!"
And the off her, right?
Yeah, and the coward gets up and runs away. Sees like one other person.
He ran out of the back door.
He ran out the front door, and I like stumbled out the back door.
Did the guy that said, "Hey," was he coming in the front door?
He was coming in because the girls that were working at the store next to me heard screaming. They heard crash. They're like,
Did they stop that guy?
They stopped him.
Oh,
yeah, and they're like, "Hey, can you go see what's going on in there?"
Did they get him? Did they stop the guy?
Yes. And so here's where, because I knew to do one thing after this, and that was protect myself from a lot of the details about this person and what happened after it. So I do know that he was caught. I don't know his name. I never looked at his name because I don't want that rattling around in my head.
No, and like wonder what is he doing now?
Exactly. Did he go? I know
very smart.
He was.
How old are you again at this time?
I was. Bryce was 1, so I was maybe 30, 31, so 29, 30, something like that.
You're smart, okay.
Yeah, I was just like, you know what, I don't need that nonsense. But I do know he was convicted of attempted murder. I do know that he had been in a mental institution and he was out that day for some reason. I don't know why. And so that was it was so random. And I was like, this is my place a bit. This is my house. I built this surf shop. This is like my,
That's
you
so
came
wild.
in here and like.
What do you, he's just off his meds and.
I guess he was off his meds. I mean, I guess I was the luck. And you know what? And I don't know if this is. There was a woman who came in earlier that morning, and she engaged me in a conversation, and she was kind of haggard looking, and there was another guy kind of milling around the front of the store, and
she was scoping it out.
Yeah, I don't know if that was if they were together, and they just saw me as like alone and like go get this girl.
So that's so funny because you don't live your life like that happened, which is really interesting. Like if you never told me that story, I would absolutely never guessed that happened. But you also aren't like skittish and like this like timid, frightened young woman. You know what I mean? Like you have a lot of confidence, and you like still doing your thing. You exude with a ton of confidence.
Thank you.
So how do you know what I mean? So after years after that, I'm sure shortly after that, you're just like freaked out from everything. I
was so quick to not be a victim. I was so quick to wrap that whole segment up because really you want to be the same person that you were before something like that happens, and you really aren't. And I didn't allow myself the time or space to kind of process that. I was like, I was just like, I'm fine. I can, I got up, I survived. Yeah. So like within a week I was back at the surf shop and kind of like everything was okay. But the long-term effects, I think, were certainly more anxiety than I had ever had. Went through some periods of, where that kind of led into depression. I helped myself out of that. But so many years later, I'm like, I felt very disconnected to myself. I felt very much a people pleaser. Like I was living my life at a very surface, shallow level. Right. And I didn't put a lot of importance on like interpersonal relationships. Right. And I don't know. And so now looking back, I'm like, well, what if I reframe this trauma in my life? Mm-hmm. What if I can look at it in a way that says, because I was feeling, like I said, disconnected from myself. I was like, well, what if I reframe it and say, you know what, like you're a mom, you're a wife, you're a daughter, you're all of those things. But that on that day, when you made the decisions that saved your life, like that was enough. You are enough for yourself. You are enough for this world. Mm-hmm. And so if I can look at it that way, and then I can say, hey, you know what? Like, I do love myself, and I can make that a jumping off point. And so I'm blessed that I live in a world, we live in a country where like my needs are met, and I did have trauma, but I can look at it like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
that's bananas.
Yeah, it's
what a wild story. Do you think what do you think like when you hear about crazy stuff like that like happens in the world, like where do you see us as like a country? Like it feels like we are, like you and I you grew up in, you like when was the golden age for you? Like for me, it's like 80s, 90s was just like good times.
Yeah, I can rock out to some 90s music.
Yeah, like your kids, like, like we went on the bus, and we just went outside to play.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was just like come back when the street lights are on.
Yeah, I know. And it seems like every generation has a time where they're like, oh, it was so great at that time.
It feels like now it's like, dude, like guard your children.
Yes.
Like you never know when that guy's coming in the surf shop.
With a rock.
Or your school.
Yes.
Like that to me, like the world feels like a very different place than what you and I used to know. I agree completely. And I think that I was completely unprepared for the adult world. I talk about that a lot as well. Like I don't know. I was like raised in a bubble, like a veal, and nobody wanted yeah, I totally get
and
that.
I don't blame my parents, but I think, yes, it was just it was either a different time or I was just like on this la la la, nothing's ever going to happen to me, But now with looking at my kids, I'm like, do I even want to send them to school on the first day of school, the last day? Or, like, I'm like, ugh.
When are crazy things happening?
Too many crazy things.
How do you raise your kids so they're not crazy people?
Well, we don't know if they're going to be crazy yet. Yeah, really.
But like, what do you do? Seriously, like, what do you do to raise your kids so they're not going to be absolute crazy people?
I think
you just hope and pray. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know what? It's interesting that you asked that because my son is more, and I recognize this only because I had gone through it. He's more anxiety prone than my daughter. And I don't know if it's a firstborn, secondborn kind of thing, but he's always seemed like he's the firstborn.
Okay.
So he's very responsible. He's just got the weight of the world all the time. And I try to help him, give him the tools to deal with that anxiety, because I think that's going to be a major issue as he gets more into teenage years and then young adulthood when that's really rears its ugly head. He's 13.
You give him a phone?
He does have a phone.
When did you get a phone?
Oh, too early. Oh my gosh. Maybe 10, maybe 11.
My daughter got a phone when she was like 6, 7.
Yeah.
When did you get a phone?
I think I just got my first one when I got attacked. I think I worked out the flip phone. No, that was 07, but probably 05, maybe 2005. I mean, I was an
20s,
adult. Yeah.
Crazy. It's just like everything. Like the idea right now that I am going to take my daughter and send her off to the bus and not see her for the next 10 hours and not hear from her or be able to contact her is crazy. Yeah, it doesn't sit well. It's crazy. Yeah, and we gave our daughter a phone this year. She's 9, but we actually took it away. She was not ready. The YouTube is a crazy world. Mark, they're posting videos. People out there are crazy. Yes. It's a crazy world. Like to be like, oh, you want to watch YouTube, and they're just like, it's a lot on YouTube. There is a lot, and you don't always know. You can't. You have to raise them up, and hopefully you feel like, all right, I hope they got it. Yeah. Only we talk to them, we try to explain these things. And I mean, and even coming down to like diet and like eating healthy. I know my daughter's like, oh, we had a donut the other day in school, like in the middle of the day. I'm like, why are you having a donut in the middle of the school day? And I'm not like really a stickler. I grew up eating whatever I wanted to, but I just feel like, keeping them all around healthy, mental health and physical health is really a challenge. Yeah. As a parent, probably in every generation, I guess. Yeah. Well, I think mental health is something that's coming up recently. Yeah. Like no one in our age when we were growing up was like, oh, what about the mental health? It was just like, that wasn't even a thing. Right. But I think now with so much on the internet and so much in people's faces that it is like, for example, maybe it's not you checking into the random casting call because you started out later than most people, but like to the 17-year-old, 18-year-old girl dealing with all that, not knowing who she is, like that is like a check on her self-esteem for like life.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I always think it's interesting that like no Victoria's Secret model thinks she's pretty.
I know.
Does any woman on this planet, if they looked in the mirror, do you think any woman is like, I am so fucking pretty?
You know, they would be the exception and not the rule for sure.
Do you think anyone says that?
No, I don't think so.
It's bananas. So it's like so the fattest woman of all time and the hottest Victoria's Secret model have that same thing in common.
Same mentality. Isn't that wild? And that is a very true thing too. And I always like if I have a friend, I'm like a stickler about my house being clean and neat.
Yeah.
And so I'll have friends come. It's not good. It's not, because my friends will come over. Oh my God, if my house looked like this, don't ever come over to my house because it's a mess. And I want to say to them, it's okay. It's supposed. Don't be like me. This is a neuroses that I need to deal with.
You're Monica from Friends.
Yes, it's not a healthy thing. Right. My kids would leave out like a pile of toys, and I'd be like,
Isn't that interesting though? The you want to keep your house clean thing. Isn't that interesting that like you are embarrassed if people see what you're really like? Do you want to put on this front that like, no, everything is, the pillows are fluffed? Like, why does everyone want everyone to see that version? But really, when we all know, if you've got kids, your house is a bomb.
It should be a bomb. And if it's not,
unless you're Leslie.
Right. Unless you've got mental issues. I think we're really afraid. And even myself, I was afraid to look into the things that embarrass me or bother me or I feel vulnerable about.
Right.
And social media has totally magnified all of that because they're like, you know what, you've got to put the best picture and you've got to have the best lighting. And I really, and it's nice to be in my 40s because you do get a chance to look back and be like, you know what?
That doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Who cares?
It really doesn't matter. As long as you've worked through your things and you go on the next half of your life with the attitude of, you know what, I really have to make it count what I say to other people, how we interact with other people. That's why a forum like this is so great. And, because you can really talk to people.
Absolutely, because that doesn't really happen. So what is the name of the book? When is it coming out? And how can people see this or read this thing?
It is, I think,
and is
title subject to change. I may have to update comments.
What's the title right now?
It's the working title is In the Blink of an Eye, because really that's how quick your life can change. That's how quick you can learn to love yourself. That's how quick you can kind of work through your pain. It's just about that. And I'm self-publishing, probably onto Amazon. I would say around the holidays. I'm still in the editing process.
Very cool.
So yeah, it's been quite an experience.
Well, congrats. Tell people where on Instagram they can find you. How can people connect with you? Because you have such a great story. You're writing a book. Not a lot of people are doing that. You've been through this modeling agency. You've owned businesses. How can people find you, connect with you, ask questions?
Absolutely. I'm mostly on Instagram at @hostedby_Leslie.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Perfect.